We shouldn't limit free speech.
Of course we should. As a society, we have a concept that a person should not be allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater for fun.
Obviously, because it creates a serious threat of harm. But it's a slippery slope that ends in people with different views being repressed.
There is always a risk of going too far with restricting speech. It's an important right, and we must guard it. In order to claim the slippery slope argument, though, we must be able to back it up. Simply because we adjust the line of what is allowed, it does not mean we're sliding into a world without free speech.
When we limit the free exchange of ideas, we create a repressive society. Those in power shouldn't control what ideas are acceptable.
That already happens far too often. McCarthyism is a great example. Banning critical race theory is another. The purpose of a free exchange of ideas is to create a society with a brighter, less harmful future. Reducing harmful speech is an important part of that less harmful future.
We should be able to challenge ideas, even when it's unpopular.
Of course. And we should recognize that ideas can have serious impacts on others' lives. We should not expect that promoting harmful ideas shouldn't be challenged.
While not all ideas are harmful, there are schools that refuse to teach controversial ideas like evolution.
Not all ideas are equal. Some ideas are useless or unprovable, such as the notion of flying unicorns. Useless ideas might be fun to debate in casual settings, but have no place in education. Just because some folks want to discuss them doesn't mean the institution is acting in bad faith. Education should be about expanding the limits of what we know. Debating the existence of flying unicorns in biology wouldn't further that goal.
But we have a right to free speech.
Every right we have comes with limitations. I have the right to carry a gun, but not the right to use it to kill my neighbor. I have the right to drive a vehicle down the road, but only under specific conditions and regulations. Our rights always end when they represent significant harm to others.
Okay, sure, but I think a certain regulation goes too far. I still have the right to say something that others don't agree with.
Yes, you do, in a public space at least. It's important, though, to recognize that speech cannot be divorced from power and consequences. The harm in hate speech is not the words themselves. But when they come from a position of power, those words are too often followed by a threat or violence. When we allow threats, it risks increased violence against marginalized folks. It is not enough to consider whether we have the right to say something harmful. We must also consider whether we ought to have the decency not to.